Joy Prime, the ultimate experience.
It's quite a sad one that people are going through this. We need to talk about it. We need to see how best we can curb it. It's about time, because if there's development in the southern part of the country, why can't we have development in the northern part of the country? Now watch the video of the porters, and some of them, due to poverty, are abusing amoxicillin. And we need to talk to a doctor. We have Bright Emisa, who is the president of Coalition of NGOs in Health, on Zoom. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Bright. Bright, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, good morning, Rosalind, and good morning to your cherished viewers.
Great. It's good to have you on Zoom, and I hope everything is all right with you.
Yeah, by the grace of God, we are managing.
Okay, so Bright, let me ask you this, because watching this video, we realized that the porters are complaining about the fact that the health is expensive in Ghana, and they are poor, they can't afford it. Let's talk about how difficult it is for poor people to have access to good health care.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rosalind, once again, and good morning once again to your cherished viewers. This is a critical situation. If we are talking about poverty, it is the biggest disease across the world or in the globe, and Ghana is no exception. Just that Ghana is not making appropriate steps to address its poverty issues. There are more than 3.4 million people living in extreme poverty in Ghana, and this includes the Kaya people we are talking about today. There is an absolute high cost of living in Ghana, and the Kayais are the group that suffers it the most. You agree with me that transportation situation in Ghana is unbearable. There are increased prices of fuel, and these people also have to, manage their lives, their movement, and then mobility by using transport. There is inadequate primary healthcare facilities, so the inadequacy and then closeness of facilities to them, you can't talk about that. High cost of living itself is contributing to this. And then you also agree with me the recent erratic rainfall due to climate change. So a group like the Kaya, as we speak today, are one of the vulnerable groups that might be suffering all these challenges as we talk about the hard economic situation in Ghana. So for them, they are, you don't know how to even explain their situation when you talk about extreme poverty among the citizenry that we are talking about. They are one group you cannot leave out, and we have to look at how we can address their situation moving forward.
Right. Thank you so much, Bright. Let me come to the studio, because I have with me Honorable Benson Tongo Baba, who is the MP for Talensi, and he is the chairman for Poverty Reduction Strategy of Parliament. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I know you've been here for a while, and so let's get a conversation rolling. And your people are watching, and they are hoping that you'll be able to help eradicate poverty in the northern sector of the country. Now, let's talk about your committee. What exactly is your committee looking at achieving, the roles as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain what the Poverty Reduction Strategy Committee of Parliament is all about. Well, the committee is one of the several committees of Parliament, and it is an ad hoc committee that was started during the HIPIC period. And during the HIPIC period, the committee had funding through the Ministry of Finance, because international donors were supporting the HIPIC initiative. So the committee was very vibrant at that time and monitored or had oversight over the activities of the Ministry of Finance and agencies which were responsible for the implementation of the HIPIC program. After that, Parliament continued to retain this committee because we looked at it as a committee for the future. Why do we say a committee for the future? Poverty cannot be permanent. we must find a way of eradicating poverty.
Exactly.
And it is the responsibility of governments to ensure that poverty is eradicated. And to give this an international recognition, the UN in 2015 came out with these Sustainable Development Goals, 17 of them. And it covers all aspects of human life, from poverty, health, education, water and sanitation, the environment, and so on and so forth. So if you look at it, at the time that these things were functioning out, it meant that governments might take proactive steps to ensure that our annual budgets and whatever donor support we get are tailored towards eradication of these things. For instance, if we talk about poverty, you mentioned the northern part, but I want to extend it beyond the northern part.
I was even going to ask you that.
Even in Accra, Greater Accra, the nation's capital, there are communities that are suffering from this endemic problem that we have allowed it to bedevil our national socio-economic development. So, Poverty Eradication Strategy Committee has the oversight of all the ministries. But unfortunately, unfortunately, the ministries do not recognize the importance of this committee.
Honorable, if you say they don't recognize, what are you talking about? Because you said it was being financed by the government and then by foreign...
I'll come to that.
Okay.
Because I chose to serve on that committee. In fact, parliamentarians are given the right to select the committees that they want to serve on. And I can speak on authority that all the members decided that they want to serve on this committee. Because most of us feel that the moment we are able to eradicate poverty, then we will be solving a very important problem that can degenerate and bring a lot of problems to this country.
Honorable, let me ask you, unfortunately, we don't have too much time, so we can't go too much into the details of what you're talking about, but I just want to know, are you still receiving the funds?
The funding will come from central government sources. Fine. If you look at the COVID funds that were released, it was aimed at solving a specific problem which falls under the goal 17. That's eradicating COVID. And that falls under health, because health is part of the 17 sustainable goals. We will want to know at the committee level how these monies were dispersed, how the funding were given out to the various agencies which were responsible for the COVID-19 implementation. From that period to date, what were they able to do that we will say that at least we have moved one step forward? And you know, we cannot get up and say because this has been done, we want to inquire into it. We need data. So the committee, if I may land,
please do.
The committee works with the National Development Planning Commission, Statistical Services of Ghana, and then an NGO that is ASEPA, the one with C. ASEPA has been of tremendous assistance to the work of the poverty eradication strategy. So we were given the opportunity to tour the Upper East region. When we went to the Upper East region as a committee, we didn't want it to look like we have just gone to one area and then we draw our conclusions. So the committee was divided into 3 segments, each segment taking 2 districts at the same time. So we had Busa North and South. Part of the committee went there. Talisi Nabdan another group went there. And Garu Timpani, another group went there.
Honorable, I'll definitely ask you about the things that you saw when you went there, but I still need my question answered. Are you still receiving the funds in the committee? Yes or no?
Parliament allocates funds to us.
So you still receive the funds?
We receive the funds, but the funds even for this year and that of last year, you know, Mr. Speaker was lamenting about.
So you did not receive it?
We have not received adequate funding to enable us to go out to do our work as oversighting some of these challenges that we have in eradicating poverty.
So you have received funds, but it's not adequate?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
On paper, yes, but in practice, that this is the money for your budget to
you haven't
work.
Seen it?
We have not seen it.
Okay, so it's on paper, but the money hasn't been
And that
dispersed.
is not the fault of Parliament of Ghana. It is the fault of the Ministry of Finance that releases money to Parliament, and for Parliament to disperse it to the various committees and to execute its
Honorable, so in a nutshell, you're saying the finance hasn't released the money to Parliament, hence Parliament doesn't have the money to give to the committee.
The opening statement of Mr. Speaker, lamenting that 72 million or whatever sums of money outstanding have not been released.
How much money is supposed to be allocated to the committee?
It depends on what is approved in the budget.
What was approved this year?
This year for us, we were given 1.4 million to do both
Ghana cedis
to do both our internal programs and then maybe to go to other countries to see the best practices. And for instance, my committee, we have read and heard a lot about Rwanda. What is the success story of Rwanda? A country that came out of a very terrible civil war, and yet today they say it's the cleanest country in the world.
Okay, Honorable.
That things are going very well.
Honorable, when you visited these areas that you spoke about earlier, the 4 areas or 2 areas that you visited.
Yes, there were 6.
There were 6 areas you visited. What are some of the things that you saw that you think that we need this 1.4 million to use to eradicate the poverty there?
No, this money is not what will do the work for the various agencies.
Okay.
Get me right.
All right.
It is to facilitate the work of the committee. But there are agencies like health. So when we went to the Upper East, we were looking at poverty.
Honorable, please help me out. I know people are watching, so help me out. To eradicate it, you said this is to facilitate.
Yes, we go monitor what the Ministry of Finance has released to the various agencies, like Ministry of Education, like Ministry of Health, like Ministry of Roads and Transport, all that the Ministry of Finance.
And you need the 1.4 million Ghana cedis to do that?
No, not only that, but for various activities.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And some of the activities include? Included
monitoring. And that's why I want to
monitoring is part of the 1.4? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, monitoring. In fact, mainly monitoring. Mainly monitoring workshops.
Workshops
with some of the agencies that would have gone to see their performance over the period so that we could discuss and find the most appropriate solution to some of their problems.
So without this money, now you can't do your workshops, you can't monitor like you're supposed to do, and you can't be on the government to release the funds for the health and poverty and education sector. So
now, about a week ago, we've heard that some monies have been released. So we are now going to meet with the National Development Planning Commission. In fact, before we embark on any program, the first place of call is to interact with the National Development Planning Commission, because they would have been able to analyze the economy and to advise the committee on what to look for when we go on our monitoring this program.
All right.
Or when we invite the ministers or the ministries to come and do their presentation to us. Yes.
Obviously, you've sat on this committee for a while, and like you said, you visited some areas. Let's talk about why so many young ladies are moving to the southern part of the country for greener pastures.
In the first place, the absence of sustainable jobs. if you look at the northern part as you zeroed in, we have only one season of rainfall, and it is within a short period. That is 3 to 4 months. After that, the 8-month period, what happens? So that was why, in the past, vigorous attempts were made to find an alternative source of water that will promote agriculture, which is the mainstay of the people. So we had the what? The Tono Dam being created, the Via Dam being created. We have the one in Tamale, also another dam that has been created for dry season agriculture, so that throughout the year, both men and women, able-bodied persons, can be engaged meaningfully in agricultural production.
And what's happening to these dams?
These dams, some of them have broken down, and then the population has also increased. You take the map of Ghana, look at the map of Ghana carefully, you realize that God has been so generous to Ghana. Our water bodies have been widely dispersed, that any part of Ghana you can dam and then have dry season farming. Since the destruction of this ecological system, you know, even rainfall pattern in the south has also changed. So in the past, when I was growing up, what I knew was
the kind of dams that they were putting in place there, they are not enough as of now. That's what we are saying. So are we have we spoken to the government about it, about, you know, creating more dams for them?
The Ministry of Agric, for instance, appear before us. We will put this kind of problem before the Ministry of Agric.
Have you called them?
We've invited them. When you invite a minister, he looks at it whether this committee is so vital to their work, but they don't know. In fact, and I think that it's out of ignorance that most of the ministries frown on the invitation of the committees. If it were the Committee on Agriculture, they will rush to that place. So what we have decided as a strategy, if we invite you 2 or 3 times and you don't show up, we will submit a report to the preliminary, to Mr. Speaker, so that there will be a decision taken on that particular ministry.
How many times have you invited the ministry, the Agric ministry?
You know, this is my 2nd term on this committee. That's why I'm speaking with a lot of passion. Because
but have you told the speaker yet?
By then, I was not the chairperson. I was just the ranking. And ranking, well, you support the chairman. And if the chairman is not interested, then you have to. But let me tell you, I have very credible, very concerned ministers who are members of this committee. And since I was made the chairman, they all pledged their support and that they want us to transform the committee to make it one of the best in Parliament. And rightly so, they are doing it. Yes. But what we have done so far, as I told you, the Northern visit, through the sponsorship of ASEPA, we'll be able to invite the 3 development authorities.
Name them, please.
Northern Development Authority, the Middle Belt Development Authority, and the Coastal Development Authorities.
Right.
In fact, they were very cooperative. They came and put everything that they have done, their activities, on the table. And we assured them of visiting those locations to be able to confirm, based on the statistics that we receive from the Statistical Services of Ghana, to confirm their performance. And this is where we were looking for funding and we didn't get. So because there was no funding, we couldn't confirm their performance on the ground. On paper, it may be different, but on the ground, it may also read another story.
Right. Now, Honorable, let's take you back to the north, because that's where we are narrowing our conversation down to today. You spoke about the reason why some of the girls were coming. You spoke about the lack of water to have proper farming. That's what you said. What about education?
Education is part of it. If you had allowed me, I would have given you the 3 areas that we went, or 3 of the sustainable goals that we observed that brought about very huge challenges. If we talk about education, 1, school enrollment, very low. Teacher-pupil ratio, very, very low.
Why is school enrollment low?
Very low because in some of the schools, the school feeding that was introduced to support the child in attending school and at least enjoying 1 meal, it's not all the areas in the northern part of Ghana that are benefiting. And it will surprise you that even areas not identified under the Statistical Service of Ghana as being poor areas rather benefit more than those areas that have been identified as poor areas. For instance, Central Region is classified as 1.
Honorable, are we saying that children are supposed to go to school because of food?
No, but it is a support. It's a government policy. Okay. If you are implementing government policy and you say you are trying to increase school enrollment, and you have got an institution like the Statistical Service that has come out with its survey and telling you areas that are poor, that need support, and then you turn around and do not give them, it becomes a problem. Okay. So I am saying that.
So the school feeding is one of the reasons why the children are not in school.
Encouraged them because they have heard it. They know other schools are receiving them in other regions and districts, but they are not getting it. Number 2, classroom facilities. A lot of them lie on their stomachs to write. They don't have classroom furniture. They don't have classroom furniture. Some carry blocks and sit on blocks and try to write or do their assignment. Teacher-pupil ratio was very, very low. A lot of the teachers who are sent to these rural areas or poor areas find it difficult to live there. There are no incentives for such teachers. There are no incentives. When I was teaching,
none at all.
No.
So
no
the incentives that the teachers are having in the southern part, they don't get it in the north. Is that what you're saying?
They don't get it. What do I mean by that? When I was, I came out of teacher training college, and I was posted to a rural school. What happened? There were incentives that instead of making a certain number of years to qualify for study leave, yours was shortened and you were given. But it's still there, but the implementation is not reaching the people in the rural areas.
Okay.
So you post somebody from the southern sector who is used to using toilet facilities and so on, and he gets to a district where he has to struggle with people and animals to ease himself or herself. That is not an incentive to the teacher. Get Fund was established to provide some of these facilities.
So we don't have enough teachers in the north, that's what you're saying?
We don't have. The teacher-pupil ratio is inadequate. You have people who are untrained as volunteers. Maybe they have gone through some level of education and they want to teach. They are not professionals to be able to develop somebody from KG to the highest level of education. So we discovered that. Then we came to health facilities.
Right.
Health facilities, very, very poor. CHIPS compounds that should also be part of our health delivery system is not at its best. In fact, most of them, the districts, rather fall on MPs to provide that. And at times, it's a joint partnership between the MP and the community mobilizing themselves to provide labor and asking the MP to support with some materials for them to complete. But when you do that, it is not the best of equipment or materials that will give it a lasting solution. Maybe every 3 years you have to go and do some renovation and so on. So we have got a report that we are preparing that will bring it before Mr. Speaker, and if he allows it, to put it before the plenary for people in the various sectors like health, education, and the other sectors of the economy which deals with poverty, for them to understand. Look at road network, even in Accra. Some areas
even in Accra, so let's talk of the north.
So you cannot talk about the northern sector.
That's so true.
Yes.
You know, you spoke about education, you've spoken about the health, you spoke about the lack of facilities.
Yeah.
But do we have enough classroom blocks as well?
That is part of the facility.
No, but I mean, you were speaking about the fact that they didn't have chairs to sit on.
Yes,
but you didn't speak about the fact that they didn't have enough blocks.
In most cases, there are
no
inadequate classroom blocks. So you can even find 2 or 3 classes coming together with only one single teacher because of the poor teacher-pupil ratio.
Right. Let me go on Zoom. I still have a Bright Emisa on Zoom. Hello, Bright.
Good evening.
Hi, sorry, I've kept you waiting for a very long time, and thank you so much for not turning off. Okay, we are grateful for that. Let me ask you this, you know, with the whole abuse of drug because of poverty, what do you think we can do to curb this?
So you've rightly said it is actually due to poverty, which we are fighting as a critical menace. And these abuses goes beyond even just the antibiotics, but sometimes in some situations, drugs that are not supposed to be even sold over the counter. So as people of Ghana, what can we do to contribute to this? Because it's going to lead to a very hard situation on us moving forward as Ghanaians. I think it's about time we build the capacity of over-the-counter drug sellers and then distributors to be able to psych and then provide some level of education to their clients who come to them to buy medicine, so that they know that they are giving them first aid and then they refer them to facilities for treatment. If the closest, in quotes, health facilities community find is the over-the-counter drugstores. So these people who work in these places also should be enlightened and educated that you are not there for treatment. We are supposed to do test and treat to provide adequate services to community. So in as much as people come to complain, you don't have the capacity to do diagnosis, and for that matter, you are only going to serve them with a first aid and rather provide them some psychosocial counseling and refer them to facilities to get appropriate treatment. We should also strengthen the regulations or policies on drug use. We have them sitting and then we are not implementing them. So even the drugstores that are not pharmacies are able to prescribe drugs that are high-class drugs that are not supposed to come to the public. They are allowed to sell them, and then nobody talks about it. These are things we have to look at and then strengthen. We should largely strengthen community education on self-treatment. People should understand that they are supposed to access facilities and not to buy drugs or treat themselves. And then we should sensitize prayer camp operators and then pastors and so on, who largely also these poor community systems rely on them for treatment due to their faith. So you come, they pray for you, and then they should also understand that after praying for them, they are referred them to the appropriate nearest health facilities to get proper medications for their ailments. Right. These are things we lose sight of, and we allow the vulnerable in society to peddle themselves with a lot of things, including the abusing of drugs.
But Bright,
and in the near future,
Bright, sorry to cut you here, but
you know, us. Yes.
Sorry to cut you, but you know when one of the porters said that her main reason for doing this was not because she doesn't know the implications. She actually knows The only thing is she doesn't have the money. You know, she can't afford the hospital bills. She can't take the child to the hospital to go pay for lab, to pay for consultation. She can't. That was the only thing. So with the pharmacists and the chemists educating them, yes, they know, but they don't have a choice.
They assume to tell you that they know because they have heard. They have heard that amoxicillin is able to cure probably something like sore and other things. So they punch it and then even put it in the sore or in water and other things and take them. It is not that they know that they are not supposed to even get that particular type of medicine at the shop that they visited. So when they know that that particular class of medicine is not even supposed to be sold but to be prescribed, then they begin to sit up by themselves and rather look for the right places to get medical care. So they know that this treatment can do something like this, as we have heard. But in reality, that is not supposed to be done. So the assumption of I know that the drug is not good for my child does not mean that they don't know that they should not even walk to the drugstore, what we call the over the counter now,
right,
without prescription to get that drug. And so when they go there, it is incumbent on the medical seller to educate this person that with this condition that you are bringing, I think if the child is having temperature or something, the best place to go is this facility. Now they will tell this person that, no, I don't have money and all those. And that is where Ghana is supposed to look at now. How we can provide telemedicine and we draw health closer to the doorstep of the people. We could do mobile clinics to these communities. We know where they are located. We know where they sleep. We know where they pick up. So randomly, we could easily, consciously know that within a certain period of time, we are supposed to visit these very poor people and then give them medications. So how do you talk about our pro-poor policies in health? They are inadequate and we are even not implementing them. So the mother of this same particular who is found as an indigent might have the health insurance card. And it should translate to within the next 2 or 3 years, it is possible that this person is going to give birth. So automatically their children are also enrolled onto the health insurance. But we will have to wait for this same person who is complaining that he doesn't have money to now walk to the nearest health insurance facility to register. No, we are not being proactive enough. You see, our data should tell us that these are the number of indigents and this is the steps we do to enroll them on the insurance to access at least medical care. But we leave everything for them to decide and do what they want. If the person is living on 5 cents, it is the same thing that will buy medicine, buy food, and treat the child.
That's so true.
This is not the assumption that.
Very, very true, Bryce. Thank you so much for helping us on this particular issue. We are super grateful. We are hoping that we'll have the pharmacies, you know, educating these young people when they walk into the hospital or the pharmacy to purchase drugs. We are super grateful that you joined us on Zoom. His name is Bryce Emisa and he's the president of Coalition of NGOs in Health. I still have Honorable Benson Tongo Baba in the studio with me. He's an MP for Talensi and also chairman for the Poverty Reduction Strategy of Parliament. It's all about eradicating poverty in the northern sector. You know, earlier I asked you a question with regards to investors coming to the north. Have we looked into that, trying to get more investors there to help with development?
Yes, like I told you earlier on, before an investor can come into a country, the first step must be taken by the government. You create an environment that will encourage the investor to also come and put his money there. If, let's say, we take agriculture, for instance, what are the interventions that government will give to an investor? We had a Ghanaian former MP who was trying to stop the importation of rice in this country. I've forgotten the name. We did not encourage him. He went to Nigeria, sold the idea to them, and they now do not import rice. Nigeria bought the idea. They supported, the government supported him, the local government, and they went further to the federal government, and they gave him the go-ahead, you see, I just came from Nigeria.
But Honorable,
you see that they have no imported rice. I can say zero tolerance. Here, rice production is viable. My recent visit to my constituency, I decided to go around to visit the areas where my committee went on my own. And I went to Tono. The cry of the farmer is that they don't have the equipment, broken down machines, no fertilizer. Honorable, if you can help us, we are prepared to work to stop the importation of rice, but we are handicapped because we don't have these things. I went to Fumbisi, that vast valley.
Honorable, unfortunately,
Yes.
we don't have enough time.
Yes.
I wish we could talk about the places you've gone to.
Yes.
But in a nutshell, let's just round it up quickly. What can the government do to prevent these young ones from coming to the southern part of the country to look for greener pastures? What are we to do there to make them stay there and also earn a good living?
Create jobs for them.
Okay.
Create jobs for them. And the people will prefer to stay back at home, do their normal chores, and then come down only to trade and go back.
Right.
Like others have been doing. But let me add, I think my committee will be very grateful if the media, particularly your media outfit, will support us so that even when we are interacting with the ministers, you send your reporters to be there to cover it. Then you know the level of competence among the membership of this committee.
Just invite us and we'll be there, Honorable.
Thank you
invite
very
us,
much.
We'll be there.
I'm
Thank you
most
so much
grateful.
for being here today.
Thank
We
you.
are super grateful. We hope to be able to eradicate
Thank
poverty
you.
in the northern part of the country. Not just in the northern part, but in whole Ghana. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
I've been speaking to Honorable Benson
Thank you.
Tongo Baba, who is the MP for Talensi, and he's also the chairman for Poverty Reduction Strategy of Parliament. This has been the Beyond the Headline segment. We have a lot coming your way this morning. Don't tune out. We'll be right back.